University of Central America. He has played a major role in online education by starting a free online channel on YouTube, especially during the COVID period when students really needed guidance and help. And he has uploaded more than 300 lectures on the YouTube. He is currently the principal in a government secondary school in Mansa, which is one of the most backward districts. So, leaving much to be said about them, I would like to start our discussion for today, which is about course correction in school education. It's a vast, vast topic, and this will probably be the beginning of a series of discussions on this. So today we will try to cover as many points which we can possibly fit into 1 hour. Dr. Wattal, I would start with asking you to give us your telling us more about this. The 3 R's of reading, writing, and arithmetic during the early school years are of crucial importance and constitute the foundational pillars for later stages of learning. The National Achievement Survey 2021 sadly reports that the learning levels of school students dropped as they went on to higher classes. And obviously, their performance in reading, writing, and arithmetic leaves much to be desired. What are the reasons? Where have we failed our students?
So, firstly, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Right. Firstly, thank you so much for giving me this wonderful opportunity through cinema to be with all of you, and having these wonderful colleagues of mine on the platform, Principal Arun, Kumar, and the others, and of course you who are sort of leading this whole initiative. So thank you very much for inviting me. Essentially, I think COVID has torn out sort of the curtain in the area of learning in such a way that we have really been exposed. Even before COVID happened, there were tens of thousands of children who were not in school, and those who were in school were not learning. And in fact, in the Asar report of Pratham, it's been very clearly said that even before COVID, there were students who were in grades 5 who had no understanding of mathematics, even of grade 3 or 2. So also the issue with literacy, language and numeracy were the 2 issues that had happened. And I think this has been a great issue in our country. COVID has created even a bigger learning gap. And that can be seen very clearly today, even in the elite private schools, when children are coming in, they have lost basic understanding of literacy and numeracy, their gross skills, their fine motor skills. So there's a huge vacuum that has happened. So actually a child of class 3 is actually coming back straight into class 6 without having really gone through regular schooling of grades 4 or 5, and which has been online. So this is a problem that we are faced with today. And at the same time, we have baggage of yesterday, where we already have baggage of students who have not been able to cope. Now, we have had innumerable national education policies from the 60s that have started. We had 4 national curriculum frameworks. The 4th one is in the making right now. I'm a part of that. And what do we see? That essentially, we have been a very rote-oriented culture. As a result of which, the students have not been able to attain the learning that they've had. You learn and you forget, and then you move to another class, you learn and you forget. So the deep dive into learning has never happened into our school. As a result of which, we are supposed to be educated, and yet we are the uneducated educated. And so I think the fact that now we're looking at concept-based learning, we're looking at discovery and inquiry, we're looking at getting away from rote learning. At the same time, we have these learning gaps. I think we need to really look at classroom pedagogies and see how can we take this forward without losing out the complete generations that we've had. So this is my understanding, that the changes that are going to take place will definitely help us. But if we ensure that we are part of that change, but if we're going to resist the change, our children will not only be thrown back, but they'll be in a worse situation than they were before COVID.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Wattal. So my next question is for Dr. Arun, and it is in a way related to what Dr. Wattal says about rote learning. So, Dr. Arun, we have seen that we have large classes with the ratio of the student teacher is really not very optimum, and maybe there are a lack of funds, but we have a lack of experience-based or experiential learning. Experience is the foundation of and stimulus for learning. How do we amend this? That is why rote learning comes in, because there is no experience.
Yeah, first of all, a very thank you to all of you to invite me here. It's my privilege to be the part of this team, and I'm going to represent some whatever I have knowledge I'm sharing with you. Obviously, today I will learn from all of you here. Whatever, madam, you're saying, honestly, that is completely true with that. Whatever Wattal madam has said, that before pandemic, root learning is also there, but that pandemic has increased the gap of that, because in pandemic we have found one altar of online. In online, obviously, a student has completely forget to writing of anything. Obviously, there is a language problem is there. So that make root learning more increasing. Look, it means we have now lot of more burden on us. The thing of experience-based learning, because our all subjects, we are teaching a subject as a subject, not as a nature. If I'll say I'm teaching math, so okay, from book we are teaching math, but math is practical, science is practical, but we don't have any project work for students. If students will go to market and learn and bring some goods for his family or not, then obviously he will learn math automatically. If we'll saw the vendors, they are not well educated, but they are doing math very well rather than us, because they have experience, they are learning from their business or trade. But we are just focusing on root learning. So first it should be on project based, that we our education system, it should be project based. That like if I'll say about science, we are teaching science in classrooms, but if student don't know where science is used in his practical life, then I don't think so there is any value. Like if I will say in kitchen, science is used everywhere, but if student know what is the criteria or what is the principle is using there, so I don't think so we have any benefit. So experience-based learning is there, and we are lacking. So it caused to our root learning.
Yes, definitely. I wish we had the funds to take our children more, to take them out for field visits, to take them into gardens, to show them animals that they actually read about. I'm surprised when we teach a child that G is for giraffe. I've seen that, and they don't know what a giraffe is, what it looks like. So why not take examples which are closer home, which are more culture friendly too? Before I go on to the next question, can I make a request to the members to please show themselves up on the screen? It's so much more nicer to interact face to face. Thank you so much. Thank you. So the next question, that is for Dr. Wattal again. Dr. Wattal, you have also been setting the curricula, I read. And, some of the most aware parents, they feel that children are burdened way too much with a very heavy curriculum, which they again then do not have enough time to really understand. And when there's too much of material and we do not have the time, or the teacher doesn't have the time to spend time on it, then we get into rote learning again. And also, it stresses out the students way beyond their capacity, and we are nurturing maybe anxious individuals right from childhood. So, what do you like to tell us about that?
It's interesting that you're saying that it's the same parents actually who want those marks, who are obsessed with marks, and it's the same parents who are in that whole space of coming into the schools and saying, why has my child lost this 1 mark in this test, and having a conflict with the teacher. And I'm sure that Principal Arun Kumar will agree with me in that. So I really don't know whether it's the parents, it's a societal issue, because we by nature are a highly competitive people. Perhaps it's because we have been survivors all these years with the different kind of people who've ruled us. And this is a colonial mind construct that we have. So over the years, whether it is Professor Yashpal or whether it was Krishan Kumar, they have constantly talked about having experiential learning, about the child being discovery-based, about inquiry-based learning, about ensuring that at least till the 8th grade, till the time we are not obsessing about the national board exams in 10th and 12th, let the child be. Let the child have an understanding of values, skills, attitudes, concepts, abilities, which if you put it into a learning matrix, I mean, there are dimensions of personal and social learning, dimensions of language skills, dimensions of how to understand numeracy, dimensions of values and abilities, dimensions of how to understand skilling. Now, all this doesn't happen with rote learning at all. So the new NEP that is coming out, and even the old, because the NEP really, the NEP really is old wine in new bottles in many ways, because the earlier NCF, which had been created in 2005, also talks about the same thing, except now the NEP is coming in a hugely aggressive manner, and they're wanting teachers to be trained, which is good. But the whole idea is that let us look at the child holistically, and let us ensure that the child understands concepts rather than the context. The textbook should be put away. So if a teacher just picks up 5 topics and uses a dialogical method, uses as Arun Kumar said, a project-based, uses a conversational, uses a activity-based method, uses a thematic method, the children will definitely learn more, because learning will become joyful. In the past and even today, learning is not joyful. We keep saying that we're trying to make it joyful, but at the end of the day, we're still having tests. You're still having periodic tests. You're still having unit tests. Why do we have to do that? Why can't we do the method of every day is just an assessment of a child? It need not be numerical based, but just the child should be assessed on his or her own potential. And also we have to understand that our classrooms cannot have the same questions, the same answers, the same methodology of teaching for every child. So let us create cluster classes within our own classes. So there are many methods of how we can bring in these different pedagogies to change, but it needs a change of mindset. It needs acceptance of parents. It needs parents not to keep saying, my child has lost this 1 mark. He has the same answer as his partner. Why has he lost 1 mark? Why has the partner got 1 mark? I mean, if you're going to get into that still, NEP or no NEP, we will never move forward. So it's a mindset change we require.
You're very right, Dr. Wattal. Actually, a retired senior civil servant who wanted to join us but could not, he asked me to raise this question that students are so overstressed and they're committing suicides now, and they're going to these coaching centers which further push this competitive spirit. And where does it get us? I mean, again, the achievements have to be holistic, not in the package that anybody is getting. Okay, that's one thing, but it's not the ultimate. And so I think, we are nurturing anxious individuals right from a young age, which is very, very unhealthy. So thank you for your opinion. And now, somewhat connected with this is my next question for Dr. Garg. Most students, and of course their parents, they feel that it is necessary to get a bachelor's or master's in either humanities or science subjects, even if these degrees alone do not facilitate employment. This might have been something that the Britishers wanted because they wanted to create babus, they wanted to create clerks and stenos for their offices. But now, should we not discourage college education merely for the sake of a degree and encourage skill-based training instead, and also see that is the child actually inclined for academics or not? Yes, Arunji.
Yeah, actually, I'm continuing with Wattal madam, whatever she has said. I'm again continuing that because the main purpose, obviously, our students are doing graduate, bachelor degree, post-graduate. But the thing, as you said, madam, they are collecting degrees. Reason is it might be gap of our syllabus of secondary and college level. Because our secondary education must be like this, that student must be compatible with its higher education so that he or she can have so much caliber or to explore his potential. If we will discuss about our foreign culture, they are completely their completely education system is based on skill based. We can say vocational subjects are there. But in our India, I think we are just focusing on the cramming or in if we will not talk about back ancient time, in ancient we don't have any book because in Middle Age paper was invented. That in ancient India we have thousands of mathematicians, scientists who have represent India to all over the world without the book. But now we don't have anything. The thing is that first our system should be completely in a line. Education system should be in line. Our curriculum should be in line, especially in vocational trade. As I'm saying, madam, we are just working on computer education in 6th to 12th class. Our students are teaching, learning computer subject, but after 12th, they are maybe able to do any computer course. No, they need extra degree. So it means something we are lacking in that one. Our education system, our policy should be like this, curriculum flavor be like this, so that our 12th class syllabus will be completely matched with higher education so that students can go with that. So I think these problems we can sort out very easily.
Thank you. Coming back to Dr. Wattal, this is again picking up from where you said that the same system cannot be applied to all the students. So this, I think, is one of the largest black spots in our education system, that we do not respect the average and the below average student. And we do not give them scope for developing alternate skills. Not every person should be academically inclined. That is not true and cannot be true, and we cannot force it on children. But they could have very many skills that they can develop and can be respected for that. And we actually rob the self-esteem of students who are average or below average. What can we do about this?
No, I think the reason, particularly because of this, and particularly because our country is so divisive in the socioeconomic stratas, as a result of this, I think that is why the whole idea of vocational education has come in. And vocational education has never really been a big hit in North India, because we would rather be unemployable graduates, than go and do some kind of vocational work. We do not have dignity of labor. We don't mind driving a taxi in Canada or becoming a plumber in Dubai, but we won't do it in India. Of course, you don't get the same kind of money also abroad. And that is why in India. So that is why NEP has brought in the whole understanding of vocational education coming in from grade 6, so that every child is able to realize that if I don't get on with academics, I may become a chef, I may get into hospitality, I may develop, I may have a certain craft, I may be very good at stitching and tailoring, which means I can then get into doing a boutique. I may be very good at pottery. I may grow up and have a boutique of ceramics. I mean, the whole world then becomes open to you. And education does not only mean becoming a plumber or an electrician. And I'm not looking down on that. What I'm trying to say is that the societally India has looked down upon things like this, which is not really fair and good. And that is why we have so many issues where we come to, as I said, economically weaker sections. So finding another profession is not about economically weaker sections. It's across the board. Over the years, over so many decades that I have worked in education, the richest child can be not academically inclined. The poorest child cannot be academically inclined, which automatically means that they have to be given an option. And that is why I think today, when we're looking at vocational education, and let me tell you, in the South, vocational education is far more popular than it is in the North. So when we're looking at vocational education, at least we have started the dialogue. We've started opening that field. I mean, today you have so many reality shows with makeup artists, with master chefs. You have a junior master chef. So it is allowing young people, it's allowing students to look at a career which goes beyond academic excellence. And between you and me, the only person who should do graduation or a BSc is a person who wants to get into hardcore academics and does the BA, does an MA, and then becomes a research scholar, or does a PhD in education, or wants to be a teacher or something like this, or a professor.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, it has no meaning for other people. What is the point? So today, more and more, immediately after grade 12 or grade 10, in career counseling, children are being guided that you must go in for a professional course, so that you can either do an earn and learn, or after the professional course, you get into a job. Because after a BA, what is the job? Unless, as I said, you want to be a teacher, then you have to go the way of the BA, B.Ed, and so on and so forth. So I think that's where career counseling comes in a big way, where you ensure that children find their potential, seek their potential, either through various sort of career options or through academic options. But here, I think a good thing is taking place, where there are a variety of options now open, and I see young people taking those options. I've never seen so many NGOs which are being run these days by young people as I saw ever. In the past, you never heard of it. But today, there are so many startups, there are so many NGOs, there are so many boutiques, there are so many physiotherapists, there are so many counselors. So a whole plethora of careers have opened up. So this is a mindset, and we need to move towards that. And I'm happy that young people are moving towards that kind of mindset. It's not just being an engineer or a doctor, or a lawyer, but going far beyond that. And I think things are changing.
Yes, I agree with you. I think there are signs of a change in the order. And one thing that I would like to share with everybody, which I think is very important for especially blue-collar jobs to catch up, is that the society needs to give respect to people who are already in blue-collar jobs. We need to treat them as equals and not as somebody, that is second-grade jobs. Once we start paying them well and we start giving them respect, I think students will find it easier to opt for these jobs too, because they serve society no less than any other job. So now coming to Dr. Arun, do you feel that teachers deserve more respect than, especially I'm talking about government school teachers, and they need to be respected as people who are laying the foundations of society, and in turn, that the teachers need to give more respect to students as individuals? Somewhere are we slipping up there?
Yes, ma'am. Obviously, because a teacher, laying the foundation, need respect also from society. As we are seeing that from last many years, as social media is very much active, so a teacher is also a layman. Mistakes are there. So one mistake is highlighted as much But if a teacher is doing a good job or any extra work or paying some extra time beyond his school time, so that will not be limelighted. So the thing is, I request to society that society should come and social media also should come. That which teachers are doing a great job or extra job, they also should be limelighted rather than if any mistake is done from any teacher. This is the most important part that teachers need respect. Only because what a teacher, obviously, when if I'll say what a teacher wants, nothing is there because he also wants that his or her students must be better than him. Either he would be good doctor or engineer or scientist. मतलब उससे ज्यादा होना चाहिए टीचर, हमेशा एक टीचर की यही सोच है. और what he wants against them, just a respect from the society, nothing else is there. Same for the students. Obviously, students also need a self-respect because every individual is a different man. In a school, if we'll say if there are a class of 40 students or 45 students, all 45 students have individual differences, all have specialty, and all need a self-respect so that they can continue their work. We can't say that you can't do anything. Being as a teacher, we can't say any student. What we can say, don't worry, you just try. A simple word from a teacher make the foundation of a student. If a teacher drag the student in any other language, obviously its future will be in his hand. If he will just give him positive motivation, either he is not in academics or he is not good in sports, with a simple, we can say clap or pampering. No, beta, don't worry, you just do more. I think this is the most influencing word for a student that he or she can achieve anything.
Thank you. Thank you. The last question, Dr. Bakil. Are we not seriously lagging behind in our attention towards the physical and mental health of students?
No, of course we are, because I think firstly, in our country, we have never really, we've been very insensitive when we talk about mental health. We are very insensitive when we talk about children with special needs. We're very insensitive when we talk about people suffering from depression or, needing help in terms of being able to cope or become resilient. In fact, for us, it's either you're not normal or you're normal, which is terrible. And I think in many ways, COVID has shone the light on this aspect, especially because people have gone through so many challenges, losing people, being alone by themselves, children not being able to have a regular sort of schooling in the last 2 years, a regular life, peer learning, peer support, sharing, so many issues. Adolescents have not been able to, connect with people of their own type, their own age. So mental health has taken on a huge area in our country today. And I think people are recognizing that. And because now mental health has become an integral part of every curriculum. So when you're talking about mathematics, you're talking about English, or you're talking about any kind of subject, your first issue is that you are integrating it. You're not working in silos. Every topic that we deal with, every subject that we deal with deals with physical and mental health. It deals with interdisciplinary, manners in which we approach that subject. So yes, I think that in the past there have been issues about mental health, but today we are aware of it. We are sensitized to it. There are so many seminars and discussions that are taking place. Governments have made it mandatory for schools to have behavioral counselors, have made it mandatory for schools to have special needs teachers. So if there are children with dyslexia or dysgraphia, even basic learning, special needs conditions, to be able to identify them, to be able to heal. It's the parents who need to really understand that they should not be in denial if a child has these issues, because ultimately it's in the best interest that we catch the child early so that we can work on them, whether it's a mental health issue or whether it's an issue of learning disability. So that makes me happy that this is going on. The other thing I just wanted to comment on your previous question about respect for teachers. I just, if I may, with your permission, just make a few interventions, Doctor. It was that, I was on the committee. It was a people's committee for selection of teachers across the country for the national awards, the country's national awards for Teachers' Day. And I was amazed. I was amazed at teachers in far-flung areas in Assam, in Punjab, in the Northeast, in Kashmir, in the Andamans and Lakshadweep, the kind of work that they were doing during COVID for their children. And I can tell you that their entire self-esteem, their persona, has risen greatly during COVID in the eyes of parents. Because at that time, there were teachers who were going out of their way because they felt that these children are not being able to learn. There were teachers, who were roaming around in Chhattisgarh on a cycle with a megaphone, sitting outside a particular community and teaching maths through a megaphone so that children should not get affected, and yet they should not forget their mathematics, just doing tables with them or making them help with their alphabets. I mean, teachers were finding such innovative ways of teaching children during the COVID that it was amazing, because I saw their case studies, because we had to go through these case studies to select them. And that's when I realized that they have done a remarkable amount of work. And I think that parents also have realized the importance of teachers, particularly, and I'm sure Principal Arun Kumar will agree with me, that parents have changed a lot in the way that they look at the teaching community today. This is what I feel. So the respect angle has definitely increased a lot compared to what it was. Yeah.
That's so heartening. That is so heartening. And I really salute the teachers, and especially of those who have little resources. And yet they are going out of their way to help children. Here I meant more, because this was more about the government schools, that the government tends to think that work that nobody else will step in to do, put the teachers on duty. They are professionals, and they need that time to study, to research, to move forward and help their students. I think that doesn't show much respect.
No, I think the fact, if I may just intervene, I think that the fact that the AAP party has come into Punjab, I think that's really a light. It's a shining light, because they have done some tremendous work to engage teachers. They have sent teachers and principals out in Delhi. They have sent them to Cambridge. They've sent them to Finland. They've sent them to Singapore. They have sent them to various IIMs across the countries, the ISBs. They have really worked very hard on their teachers, because they feel that they're champions, and their first point of contact is the teacher. If the teacher does not have her own self-esteem, have her own knowledge, have her own craft in place, what is she going to do with the children? So I hope that, I'm sure that they will work in the same manner in the schools that are running in Punjab now that that government is in place, because Manish Ji has done some tremendous work in that area.
I've read his book, Shiksha. Yes, that's right. So I would also ask Dr. Garg, please, would you like to share with everybody the work that we have been doing in our government schools here regarding mental health?
Regarding mental health, madam, obviously we have started one project like Mishal. Yeah, we have started and still lots of work to do in mental health. As in Delhi, we can say there is a happiness classes there, which is we have shown that is. So still in Punjab, we need a lot of work in like meditations or happy classes there. We have already started that, but it's a long way to do that for mental health.
So actually the start that we made is that since we do not have enough money to engage a counselor for each and every government school, so we decided that it would, the next best thing that we can do is that we can take teachers, at least one from each government school, and give them a basic training in counseling.
Yes, ma'am.
And also in how to deal with students who have behavior problems, or how to spot the red flags when a student is challenged in some way. Because when a teacher is not aware, all that they can do is punish. So whereas that is not the answer, we need to find the root as to why a child is an underachiever, or why are there any behavior problems. So now there are a few of the members who had wanted to, who have been invited to give their opinion. So we'll move on to them. We'll begin with Snimmer Bala.
Well, most of my questions have been answered very well. But I'd just like to ask Ameeta that, see, with our meager resources in Punjab, what would be the priorities? Should it be motivation for teachers, or should it be more, say, lab equipment? So what would be the priorities? I'm talking again about government schools.
See, Simo, I'd like to tell you that, I have done a lot of work at grassroots level.
Yeah.
You don't really need too many resources.
Okay.
Because essentially you need good human beings who are dedicated and committed.
True.
And essentially, I always feel that, you see, right now, I'm a person who believes that so much emphasis on technology is just going to drive you a bit crazy. Mm-hmm. The thing is that right now, what we need is a person-to-person connect. We right now need for children to be a little more calmer and easier. So we need a lot of involvement on a human level with children and teachers together. So I do think that teachers should have workshops. You could always invite people from within the community, whether they are doctors or they are counselors, and who understand and who would not be looking, who can do pro bono work, and who can come and motivate teachers, who can talk to students, career counselors who need to guide senior students which way to go. Now, these are important things we need, because the senior students have other difficulties because they're not very sure what is the kind of career they should step into, what is the kind of careers that are available in the new century. Every day something is changing. The world is not the same. So a career counseling focus for senior students. In grades 10, guiding students as to what kind of streams they should take up. That's important, and depending upon their aptitudes, helping them out with that. At the middle and the junior school, just creating simple, small resources which can be done indigenously, so that in the classrooms, learning can be joyful. It can be joyful through recycled waste. That doesn't require money. It can be joyful through any kind of toys. I remember that long ago, there was a program called Tod Jod Khod, where a child would just bring in some broken thing, and the science teacher would sit with them and say, can we convert this into something else? Can we convert a hand fan that you put next to your face, which you get for just a couple of rupees in the market? Can we convert them into some kind of a propeller? That also develops their scientific temper. It also develops certain ideas of how to become more scientific in the way that they're looking at projects. So what I feel is more project-based, more thematic-based learning. It doesn't require so many resources. Also, we don't really have to get into school buses and go here and there. If we just step out of our school and we look around and we see just basic trees, and we have leaves and we have trees and we have flowers and identification. And the most important thing is connecting learning to real life situations. So yes, what's the point of knowing maths if you can't work out a traffic if you can't work out a traffic problem? The thing is, how do you think? How are you thinking? You're learning, but how are you connecting that learning system? For example, if a child is learning heat, light, and electricity, I always give this example with other human beings, the interdependence of life. Is the teacher telling him that every time you leave your light open or you leave your fan open, you're affecting a farmer, or you're affecting a coal miner who goes down in a coal mine in Dhanbad and may be dead because his lungs are filled with coal? So the interdependence of life, are you guiding children in that? Are you guiding children that every time they may waste a little bit of rice or roti, they're affecting the farmer who's standing in water with leeches and who may be dead because he doesn't have a good distribution system? Are you asking children to connect with the larger life that is around them? I think these are things that don't really require resources. They're basic issues that we have to connect children with, because SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, we keep talking about 2030. India's nowhere. Our children are nowhere near having the Sustainable Development Goals. The Sustainable Development is saying no to poverty. It's about hunger. It's about education for all. It's about equity. It's about access. So guiding children through an ecological system, environmental system, guiding children as to how to connect with the environment, how to not waste. So these are basic things which don't really require resources. They can be done at different levels in the school through activities, through simplistic activities. Thank you.
Those are really excellent points that you've given, Dr. Wattal. And we all we need to do is reorient ourselves to adopt them. And they're very simple, and all we need is a passion and a reorientation.
That's right.
So for everybody, please, we have just about 2 more people who will just first raise their points they'd already registered, and after that, it'll be open for any other questions. So Amarjeet Singh Walia, please unmute yourself. I think he's occupied. Okay, Abhijit Singh Dhaliwal, can you please come on?
Right. Hi, good evening, Dr. Ranjit ji, and thank you for organizing this awesome session wherein we get to interact with so many good people. So I have just one question, and either Principal Arun Kumar Garg may answer, or may Dr. Ameeta ji may answer. So the dropout rate in the schools, especially in the government schools, is pretty high. How can what can we do to keep that in control, and how can we keep a check on that? And is it related to the drug problem as well, the age group wise and all that? So how can we work out on that in this?
Yeah, sir, your very good question is there, but the thing now, dropout is very less. If we will analyze the data, the dropout is very less in the school in primary section. Yeah, in high section, as we have discussed that due to some, because of proper mental lessons, health issues are there, so due to drugs, or that is in that case, dropout are increasing that one. But in starting, our primary education is okay, but in high classes, students need counseling. The most important part is that in their teenage or adolescence period, regarding drugs or their mental health problems, so we are facing that lots of problems in that. So we need that counseling lessons for that. I think, ma'am, Wattal also will be agree with me that.
You're right. If I may just add on to what Principal Arun Kumar Garg has said, and he's absolutely right. I would just like to add on that, you see, unfortunately, the age for labor is 14 years. So the moment you're 14 years old, 10th grade, and you drop out, it becomes very difficult. I think laws have to also be looking at things like that. That why should a child of 14 be allowed to get into a labor situation? So the other thing also is that, as he rightly said, it's also important. What happens is that families who are poor, the earn and learn starts going on, because they feel that the child, I mean, I know here that I'm surrounded by groups of, it's strange that Gurgaon is a very wealthy city and yet town, and yet it has so many pockets of poor people, the Banjaras, And every time I go there, I see that it's filled with very poor children who are not going to school, who are not there because their parents says we need them to sell the wares. So you see, the whole thing is very societally involved. If a state can help out, because what we normally do is that we ensure that the child's mother, if she can have some kind of livelihood also, then the child will not be brought out of the school and made to earn for the family. So I think societally, a state has to look at how do we help children, and how do we ensure, it's a question about poverty, how do we ensure that the families from which children are coming, that they have their midday meals, because meals also attract children to a school. And that is why the meal structure also helps out in bringing children into school systems. The COVID had a lot of problems because the meals had stopped, because of COVID. And so I think we have to also look at this whole thing as a problem. So we have to see, governments have to see that the families that are highly vulnerable, they are the ones who will take out their children to help them to earn. And so can we give some kind of employment? It's all about employment. And if they are employed and they have some livelihood, they'll not bring the child out to earn for them. The dropouts can be there for several reasons. One of the reasons is employment. Another reason, of course, is drugs. But that's what Principal Garg said, that the drug problem, of course, is an issue where you have to have a lot of awareness, sensitization, counseling programs, and home visits, and see that whether it can stop it, get rid of drug peddlers within that area. But that is something that the government has to do. The school cannot do it. The school can merely do it as a soft skill, where it does counseling, it talks to the parents and so on and so forth, and helps out through helplines and so on. But identifying these drug areas, ensuring they're not hotspots, ensuring they're not around schools or around bastis where people live, this also is a menace that the government has to clear.
Yes, that's right. Thank you. So, Amarjeet Singh Walia, can you please come to the screen?
Yeah, please. Thank you very much, ma'am. In fact, sorry, I was not able to, you can say, unmute myself earlier. My simple question is that to Dr. Wattal, because she was talking about the poor condition of families, right, and their wards. My question is that how these poor childs or poor family childrens can compete with the, you can say, as on today's scenario for, you can say, getting more skills on you can say, developing their skills either to get job when they go out from the schools or colleges, right? Or is there a way where we can train them, these poorly, you can say, poor student, for, you can say, different kind of abilities where they can be put forward into sports or other kind of activities?
No, that's a very good question. And I would like you to know that it's not only, I agree that it is the poorer children, the vulnerable children who are in a situation. But I can assure you that because I've seen that happen in government schools in the South, I've seen that happen in government schools in Delhi, that there's so much of involvement of skill-based learning that is happening from lower classes. So the child is able not only to study a subject, but to learn it through a skill. Even like, for example, if a child opens a laptop or opens his phone, gets into a particular, program, that's a skill. Because he's able to open a phone, get into a Zoom, listen to you, or get into Teams, listen to the program, or be able to get onto an online or upload something. That's a skill. I think every single school has to ensure that whatever, and that is why the NEP is talking about it, the National Education Policy says, the first and foremost thing that you should teach is that if you're teaching, for example, a language, it's not only about the grammar and the spoken language, it's about, can you write a report? Can you write a report after studying a language? Half adults can't write report. Do you know what a blueprint is? Half the adults don't know how to do that as a thing. So everything that is taught should have a skill which is connected to it. And that is the learning outcome of every subject that we have. So that if I'm studying mathematics, am I able to create a graph of rainfalls in my city? That's a skill. So am I able to do that? Which means that the teachers have to be trained. The most important thing is the empowering and training of teachers to create skill-based learning of everything that they teach. Whether they teach science, are they teaching a skill of creative thinking? Are they teaching a skill of critical thinking? Are they teaching a skill of problem solving? If children learn this at a young age, then automatically, slowly, their skill development will be encouraged, and they will find different ways and means. We are the biggest Jugaadu people in the world. In fact, we are very good at Jugaad. We know how to put things together and make things work. So after all, we as Indians have a fantastic mind in that area, because we have always been given, tutti cheese, ye cheese, wo cheese. So at least now we can use that jugaad as a skill, actually, to be able to take something and convert it into something that is of meaning. And I think we're very good at that. And this is what we should focus on. that from a very young age, a child should learn a skill with a subject so that he understands it, so that he can enter a vocation, he can get a job, he can get a livelihood, he can take it forward. Because ultimately, what is learning about? It's about livelihood, and automatically with skill, there's a value that comes to. So that's very important. That's how I think we should do it, whether it is poor children or rich children, because people who need livelihood.
One thing also, I'm sorry, I'm interrupting. Amajit sir, one thing also I want to say that like up to 10th, who are poor people, or we can say we don't have any sources there. Up to 10th in government school, all education is free. But now there after 10th, we have government ITIs are there. There's so many vocational courses are there, like plumbing, electrician, carpenter. Still they are on working on that. But the problem is that again, that teachers are not aware for that. They are not proper guiding the students who are from very poor families, or they are not can't do well in academics or in a science education and in commerce education. So we have that courses also. So for that, first we have to counseling that all them. Because I have experience from last 18 years, we have experienced so many students like this, and now they are well earning. They're earning 30 to 40,000 for his family. Even they can't take a single time food also there, but they are now earning well with carpenter, electrician are there, or plumbing are there. So we have to also give them this career guidance is there, that you can go in that direction is there, not only plus one medical or non-medical is there.
Thank you. Thank you. So I think our time for today is up, because I do not want to keep my guest speakers beyond the time that they had committed to. I would now request Captain Vikram Bajwa to come out of the shadows and wrap up the meeting and present a vote of thanks. Captain Vikram Bajwa, one of the founder members of Main Punjabi.
Thank you, Dr. Ajit Pawar, for introducing us to such luminaries. Main Punjabi is extremely grateful to both the distinguished invitees for giving such a macro level exposure. Principal Arun Garg ji, we are बहुत ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ. The fact that you have जिस इलाके में तुसी काम करते हो, the level you're working and the system you're working in the government schools, and still shining with your ability and emotions, we are really grateful to you. Now coming on to Dr. Ameeta Mulla Wattal. I can keep talking about her because I know her complete lifespan. She is an amazing person, and the kind of level and areas she has spread her knowledge to. We are so extremely thankful to her for taking out some time. She happens to be the wife of my battalion officer. So I know her dedication and commitment to the cause. And if diverting from the subject, if I may take a liberty, and if she doesn't mind, I would like to tell the audience that she's daughter of Captain Mulla, who went down with Kukri, Mahavir Chakra. So greatness travels in her genes and blood. Ameeta ji, thank you so much. Pleasure having you on
kind,
board.
Namaskar. You're so kind. Thank you so much.
Thank you. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you so very much for being with us. I cannot thank both of you enough.
Thank you. Thank you so much,
God bless.
Pawar. Thank you so much for all this wonderful exposure. And God bless you, and may you carry on with the wonderful work you're doing. And at any point of time, if I can be of any assistance to you, I'm just a phone call away. Thank you and namaskar. Thank you so much, Principal Arun Kumar Garg, for all your wise thoughts. Thank you. Thanks, Simo. Thank you so much for calling. Thank you, love.
Thank you. Thank you.
Used to call me Simi.
So, Paramjit ji, मैं ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕੋਲੋਂ ਮਾਫੀ ਮੰਗਦੀ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਉਦੋਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਟਾਈਮ ਦੇ ਸਕੀ. ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹੁਣ ਆਪਣਾ ਪੁਆਇੰਟ ਰੱਖਣਾ ਚਾਹੋਗੇ ਜੀ?
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਮੈਡਮ, ਮੈਂ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਸਕਦਾ ਹਾਂ.
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਹਾਂਜੀ
ਮੈਂ ਕਾਫੀ ਦੇਰ ਤੋਂ ਸੁਣ ਰਿਹਾ ਸੀ ਇਹ ਮੈਡਮ, ਜਦੋਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਅਫੀਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਮੀਟਿੰਗਾਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ, ਜਦੋਂ ਫੀਲਡ ਨਾਲ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਮੈਚ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਤਾਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਵੱਡਾ ਗੈਪ ਹੈ। ਜਿਵੇਂ ਇੱਕ ਟੀਚਰਸ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬੇਸਿਕ ਨੈਸੈਸਿਟੀ ਹੈ ਸਾਡੀ, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਐਜੂਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਦਾ এনवायरमेंट ਉਹ ਸਾਡੀ ਬੇਸਿਕ ਨੈਸੈਸਿਟੀ ਹੈ। ਤਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖੋ 75 ਸਾਲ ਮਨਾ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਬੜੀ ਖੁਸ਼ੀ ਨਾਲ, ਤੇ ਇਹ ਇੱਕ ਸੈਂਚੁਰੀ ਦੇ ਨੇੜੇ ਤੇੜੇ ਪਹੁੰਚ ਰਿਹਾ ਕੰਟਰੀ, ਤੇ ਉਦੋਂ ਤੱਕ ਸਾਡੀਆਂ ਬੇਸਿਕ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਪੂਰੀਆਂ ਹੋ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਹੋਈਆਂ। ਤਾਂ ਕਿੰਨਾ ਕੁ ਟਾਈਮ ਲੱਗੂਗਾ? ਮਤਲਬ ਕਿ ਸਦੀ ਤੋਂ ਵੀ ਵੱਧ ਟਾਈਮ ਲੱਗ ਜੂਗਾ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਬੇਸਿਕ ਸਹੂਲਤਾਂ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਦੇਣ ਲਈ। ਹੁਣ ਬਹੁਤ ਚੰਗੀਆਂ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ਾਂ ਵੀ ਹੋਈਆਂ, ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੈਂ ਕਹਿ ਰਿਹਾ ਨੈਗੇਟਿਵ ਆ, ਸਮਾਰਟ ਕਲਾਸਿਸ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ, ਇੰਟਰਨੈਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ ਸਕੂਲਾਂ 'ਚ, ਬੱਚੇ ਪੜ੍ਹਨ ਵਾਲੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਨਾਈਸ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਬੱਚੇ, ਮਤਲਬ ਕਾਫੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਫੈਸਿਲਿਟੀਆਂ ਪਹੁੰਚੀਆਂ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ। ਰੀ2 ਐਪ ਹੈਗਾ, ਲੜਕੀਆਂ ਲਈ ਨੰਨੀ ਕਲੀ ਹੈ, ਉਹ ਲੜਕੇ ਵਿਚਾਰੇ ਰਿਕੁਐਸਟ ਕਰਦੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਜੈਕਟ ਦਿਓ ਨੰਨੀ ਕਲੀ ਵਾਂਗ, ਵੀ ਲੜਕੀਆਂ ਤਾਂ ਪੜ੍ਹਨ ਜਾਂਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਬਟ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪੜ੍ਹਾਉਣ ਵਾਲਾ ਕੋਈ ਮਿਲਦਾ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂਗਾ ਕੰਪੈਰੇਟਿਵਲੀ, ਤਾਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਲਈ ਵੀ ਵੱਖਰਾ ਅਰੇਂਜਮੈਂਟ ਕਰੋ। ਤਾਂ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਘਰ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੋਮਵਰਕ ਦੀ ਜਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਪੇਰੈਂਟਸ ਦੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਆ, ਜਾਂ এনवायरमेंट ਦੀ, ਜਾਂ ਸਕੂਲ 'ਚ ਟੀਚਰਾਂ ਦੀ ਸ਼ਾਰਟੇਜ ਆ ਗਈ, ਜਾਂ ਟੀਚਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਐਕਸਟਰਾ ਵਰਕ ਦੇ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਉਹ ਮਾਈਨਸ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਸਟੱਡੀ ਦਾ ਟਾਈਮ। ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਮੇਰੀ ਡਿਊਟੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ BLO ਲੱਗ ਗਈ, ਫਿਰ ਇਸ ਤੋਂ ਇਲਾਵਾ ਗਾਈਡੈਂਸ ਟੀਚਰ ਲੱਗ ਗਈ, ਗਾਈਡੈਂਸ ਟੀਚਰ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਉੱਪਰ ਲੈਕਚਰਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ ਇੰਗਲਿਸ਼ ਦਾ, ਉੱਧਰ ਲਗਾਤੀ, ਫਿਰ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਨਾਲ ਦਾ ਪਿੰਡ ਸਕੂਲ ਖਾਲੀ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਉੱਥੇ ਚਲੇ ਗਏ। ਤਾਂ ਉਹ ਮਤਲਬ ਐਕਸਟੈਂਡ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਅੱਗੇ ਅੱਗੇ ਡਿਊਟੀ, ਤਾਂ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਹਦਾ ਬੇਸਿਕ ਡਿਊਟੀ ਆਪਣੀ ਕਲਾਸ ਨਾਲ ਕਮਿਟਡ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਪੂਰੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦੀ। ਅੱਜ ਮੇਰਾ ਖਿਆਲ ਆ ਵੀ 20 ਤਰੀਕ ਹੋ ਚੁੱਕੀ ਹੈ 9ਵੇਂ ਮਹੀਨੇ ਦੀ, ਤੇ ਅਜੇ ਤੱਕ ਮੇਰੀ ਕਲਾਸ ਨੂੰ 10ਵੀਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਤਾਬਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਹੁੰਚੀਆਂ ਹੋਈਆਂ ਇੰਗਲਿਸ਼ ਦੀ ਮੇਨ ਕੋਰਸ ਬੁੱਕ। ਤਾਂ ਬਟ ਮੈਂ ਇੱਕ ਬੁੱਕ ਤੋਂ ਪੜ੍ਹਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਹਾਂ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੱਸੋ ਵੀ ਮੈਂ ਖੁਦ ਇੱਕ ਟੀਚਰ ਹਾਂ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਪੜ੍ਹਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਤੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਬੁੱਕ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਹੁੰਚੀਆਂ ਹੋਈਆਂ ਅਜੇ ਤੱਕ। ਤਾਂ ਦੱਸੋ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਬੇਸਿਕ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਹੈ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਬਿਨਾਂ ਕਲਪਨਾ ਕੀਤੀ ਜਾ ਸਕਦੀ ਹੈ ਵੀ ਉਹ ਬੱਚੇ ਪੜ੍ਹਨ ਤਰੱਕੀ ਕਰਨ। ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਵੋਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਐਜੂਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੋਈ, ਉਹਦੇ ਦੇਖੋ ਕਿੰਨੇ +1 2 ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਗਰੁੱਪ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਵੋਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ, ਜਾਂ ਕੰਪਿਊਟਰ ਵੀ ਇੱਕ ਵੋਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਦੀ ਸਕਿੱਲ ਹੀ ਹੈ ਅਸੀਂ ਜੇ ਮੰਨੀਏ ਤਾਂ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਆਉਣੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਹੈ। ਉਹ 30 ਰੁਪਏ ਮਹੀਨੇ ਦੇ ਵੀ ਦੇ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਬਟ ਕਿਸੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੂੰ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਿਆਗਾ। ਕਿਉਂ? ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਪ੍ਰੈਕਟੀਕਲ ਦੀ ਮੈਂਟੈਲਿਟੀ ਹੈ ਨਹੀਂ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰੈਕਟੀਕਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਿਖਾਇਆ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ, ਥਿਓਰੈਟੀਕਲ ਮੈਂਟੈਲਿਟੀ ਆ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਸਾਰੀ। ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਵੋਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਲਈ এনवायरमेंट ਵੱਖਰਾ, ਟੀਚਰ ਵੱਖਰੇ, ਸਕੂਲ ITI ਵਾਂਗੂ, ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਇੰਨੇ ITIs ਨੇ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਜਾਂ ਇੰਨੇ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਵੋਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਗਰੁੱਪ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਚੋਂ 10% ਵੀ ਬੱਚੇ ਛਾਂਟ ਕੇ ਲਿਆ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਵੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਿਖਾਇਆ ਗਿਆ ਹੈ ਪ੍ਰੈਕਟੀਕਲੀ। ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਚੇਤਨ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਇਸ ਗਰੁੱਪ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਵੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਰਚ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕੰਪਿਊਟਰ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ, ਉਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ 6ਵੀਂ ਤੋਂ +2 10ਵੀਂ ਦਾ ਕੋਰਸ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂਗਾ। ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਉਹ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਵੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਵੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਕੁਛ ਨਾ ਕੁਛ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ। ਤੇ ਇਸ ਤੋਂ ਇਲਾਵਾ ਇੱਕ ਵੱਖਰੀ ਗੱਲ ਮੈਂ ਦੇਖੀ, ਜਦੋਂ ਡਾਈਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੈਮੀਨਾਰ ਲਾਉਣ ਗਏ ਸੀਗੇ ਤਾਂ ਡਾਈਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਟੀਚਰਾਂ ਨੇ ਕੰਟਰੀਬਿਊਟ ਕਰਕੇ 100 ਰੁਪਇਆ ਉੱਥੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਮਾਨ ਲਿਆਂਦਾ ਹੋਇਆ ਹੈਗਾ ਮੋਗੇ ਸਾਡੇ, ਗ੍ਰਾਂਟਸ ਹੀ ਹੈ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੋਈ, ਜਦ ਕਿ 2003 'ਚ ਅਸੀਂ 15 ਲੱਖ ਰੁਪਇਆ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਉੱਧਰ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਸੀ, ਉਹ ਵੀ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਬਿਲਡਿੰਗ ਯੂਜ਼ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ। ਉਹ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਫੰਡਿੰਗ ਹੀ ਹੈ ਨਹੀਂ, ਰਿਸਰਚ ਦਾ ਤਾਂ ਕੰਮ ਦੂਰ ਰਿਹਾ। ਜਾਂ ਈਵਨ ਜੇ ਡਾਈਟ 'ਚੋਂ ਬੁੱਕਸ ਵੀ ਦੇਣੀਆਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ, ਕੋਈ ਮੋਡਿਊਲ ਵਗੈਰਾ ਦੇਣੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਟੀਚਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ, ਤਾਂ ਉਹ ਇੱਕ ਮੋਡਿਊਲ ਦੇਣਾ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਡਿਸਟ੍ਰਿਕਟ ਦੇ ਟੀਚਰ ਲੈਣ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਨੇ ਡਾਈਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਕੂਲਾਂ 'ਚੋਂ ਔਨ ਡਿਊਟੀ ਜਾਂ ਆਫ ਟਾਈਮ। ਤਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਉੱਥੇ ਦੇਣ ਦੀ ਬਜਾਏ ਜਾਂ ਬੁੱਕਸ ਦਾ ਇੱਕ ਹੀ ਮੈਨੇਜਮੈਂਟ ਹੋਵੇ ਵੀ ਇੱਕ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਤੋਂ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਬੁੱਕਸ ਜਾਣ, ਤਾਂ ਉਹ ਸਾਰੇ ਟੀਚਰ ਡਿਸਟ੍ਰਿਕਟ ਦੇ ਇੱਕ ਮੋਡਿਊਲ ਲੈਣ ਲਈ ਉੱਥੇ ਪਹੁੰਚਦੇ ਨੇ। ਤਾਂ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਇੱਕ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਡਿਊਟੀ ਦਾ ਪਾਰਟ ਹੈ। ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਮਤਲਬ ਥੋੜ੍ਹੀ ਜਿਹੀ ਮਿਸਮੈਨੇਜਮੈਂਟ ਵੀ ਹੈ, ਜਾਂ ਡਿਊ ਟੂ ਲੈਕ ਆਫ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੈਡ ਜਾਂ ਟੀਚਰਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਵੀ ਸਾਰਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਸਟੱਡੀ ਦਾ ਡਿਸਟਰਬ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ। ਤਾਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਕੀਮਤੀ ਟਾਈਮ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸਾਡਾ ਸਟੱਡੀ ਦਾ, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਿ ਹੋਰਾਂ ਕੰਮਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਦੋਂ ਜਾਇਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦੁੱਖ ਹੁੰਦਾ। ਤਾਂ ਮੇਰਾ ਮੇਨ ਇਹੀ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਸੀ ਵੀ ਸਦੀ ਤੋਂ ਵੀ ਪੌਣੀ ਸਦੀ ਤਾਂ ਹੋਊਗੀ, ਮੈਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਵੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਕਵਰ ਅਪ ਕਰ ਸਕਾਂਗੇ। ਬੇਸਿਕ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕਿ ਹਾਲਾਂ ਜੇ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਨੂੰ ਸਹੀ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ 13,000 ਪਿੰਡਾਂ ਨੂੰ 10 ਤੇ ਡਿਵਾਈਡ ਕਰਕੇ 1300 ਕਲਸਟਰ ਬਣਾ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਤੇ ਕਲਸਟਰ ਨੂੰ ਬਹੁਤ ਵਧੀਆ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੋਲਡ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਫੈਸਿਲਿਟੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਇੱਕ ਕਲਸਟਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਪ੍ਰਿੰਸੀਪਲ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਸਾਰੇ ਨੂੰ ਮੈਨੇਜ ਵੀ ਕਰ ਸਕਦਾ ਇੱਕ ਬੈਸਟ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ, ਜੇ ਅਗਰ ਇੰਨੀ ਪੂਅਰ ਕੰਡੀਸ਼ਨ ਹੈ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਤਾਂ। ਬਟ ਉਹਦੇ ਲਈ ਕੋਈ ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਤਾਂ ਸਟੈਪ ਲੈਣੇ ਪੈਣਗੇ।
ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਜੀ, ਪਰਮਜੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਸਾਰੇ ਪੁਆਇੰਟ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਹੇ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਦਰੁਸਤ ਨੇ। ਔਰ ਆਪਾਂ ਮੇਰਾ ਖਿਆਲ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਉਮੀਦ ਨਹੀਂ ਛੱਡਣੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ, ਆਪਾਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਤੇ ਫੋਕਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਬਾਰ-ਬਾਰ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਬਿਹਤਰ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਉਹਦੇ ਲਈ ਆਪਾਂ ਵੱਖਰੇ ਵੱਖਰੇ ਪਲੇਟਫਾਰਮਸ ਤੇ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰਦੇ ਰਹਿਣਾ ਹੈ। ਸੋ ਬਹੁਤ ਬਹੁਤ ਮਿਹਰਬਾਨੀ ਜੀ। ਜੀ Vikramji, please.
No, ਮੈਂ ਖਾਲੀ ਪਰਮਜੀਤ ਦਾ ਇਹੋ ਹੀ ਦੇਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਸੀ ਜਵਾਬ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਸਪੈਕਟ ਡਿਸਕਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀਤਾ ਗਵਰਨੈਂਸ ਦਾ ਤੇ ਕਰਪਸ਼ਨ ਦਾ ਤੇ ਐਡਮਿਨਿਸਟ੍ਰੇਟਿਵ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਆਸਪੈਕਟ ਐਜੂਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਰਿਲੇਟਡ ਨੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਤੇ ਬਹਿ ਕੇ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਫੋਲੋ ਅਪ ਕਰਨੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਹੁਣ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪੁਆਇੰਟਸ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਇਹਦੇ ਜੋ ਉਪਰਾਲਾ ਕਰੇਗਾ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਬਿਕੋਜ਼ ਐਡਮਿਨਿਸਟ੍ਰੇਟਿਵ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਸਾਰਾ ਰੀਜ਼ਨ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ ਸਾਰੇ ਪਾਸੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਜੜ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਉਪਰਾਲਾ ਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਵੀ ਇਨ ਟੱਚ ਵਿੱਚ
ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਸਰ ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ
ਸੋ ਮੇਰਾ ਖਿਆਲ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਆਪਾਂ ਹੁਣ we should wind up the meeting. ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੇ ਅਟੈਂਡ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਬਹੁਤ ਮਿਹਰਬਾਨੀ ਐਂਡ ਆਈ ਹੋਪ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਮੀਟਿੰਗਸ ਦੀ ਲੜੀ ਅੱਗੇ ਵੀ ਚਾਲੂ ਰੱਖਾਂਗੇ ਸੋ ਜੀ ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਵੈਰੀ ਮਚ
ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਸੋ ਮਚ Ranjit, thank you so much for hosting it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ji. Thank you very much.